This seemingly idyllic landscape hides signs of destruction. Instead of trees everywhere, there are grassy mounds like this one. It's an alarm signal for Alejandro Hernandez of the Nature Conservancy. The environmentalist says it only looks this green because the rainy season just ended.
The
effects of climate change have become apparent in Chiapas in the past 15 years in the form of natural disasters triggered by tropical storms that have caused landslides and flooding in numerous villages and communities in Chiapas. Deforestation is one of the main reasons, not only because it aggravates climate change, but because it worsens the production conditions for the people and their prospects for the future.
Not until an altitude of 1,000 meters do we find healthy forest in Chiapas. The trees up here help regulate the water cycle in a natural way. They collect rainwater and slowly release it again. Losing the trees can have fatal results. In 1998, the village of Valdivia was leveled by disastrous flooding that followed weeks of rain. This is where the elementary school once stood.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning when the river burst its banks. The water was 4 or 5 meters deep. When the people realized what was going on, they tried to flee to a dry place. Many of them were trapped on their roofs. We didn't lose anyone from our family, but 27 people died in the village.
Valdivia's church now stands in a swamp. For years, Alejandro Hernandez has been working to prevent such disasters. He shows farmers in Chiapas how important reforestation is for them. One problem is that young trees are often cut down to make way for new fields.
We realized that the most important thing was to work with what primarily interested the local community, and that's meeting their basic needs. So we began working with farming and production methods and using that to show them how much reforestation can help. Not just because it's funded or because it's pretty, but because the trees keep the moisture and the nutrients in the soil and retain the water. Forests have a lot of advantages for us.
But to reap those advantages, the farmers have to give up old habits. With the support of the environmental organization, Rocael Ramirez has planted trees among his corn. That helps hold down the soil. And he keeps remnants of the harvest as rich compost for the next sowing.
I used to cut down the trees on the mountain and then plant corn for 2 or 3 years. I'd burn the remains of the harvest, and when the rains came, they'd wash it all away. And now we've been here for 15 years, and we're still getting good harvests. After 15 years, because we're protecting the soil.
The method that works on the mountainsides also applies to the valleys. Here in Salto de Agua, Alejandro Hernandez has convinced dairy farmer Benjamin Morales to plant trees on his pasture land. They help nourish the soil and improve the grass. When it withers during the dry period, the animals eat the protein-rich fruits from the trees. And they not only provide a shady spot for a siesta, but help the cows sweat less and produce more milk.
To tell the truth, when we first heard about this, I thought this won't do any good. My pasture is fine like it is, without trees. But then the seeds arrived, and we started planting the trees and did our sowing. And I was surprised and wondered why I hadn't done this before. I used to get 30 liters, or at most 40 liters of milk a day, and now it's 80 or 90 liters.
Now, nearly 24 dairy farmers in Salto de Agua have taken the advice of the conservationists. And they're now producing so much milk that they've opened their own cheese factory. The cheese fetches a much higher price than the milk. The new methods have enabled these farmers not only to protect the environment and the climate, but also to improve their livelihoods. And that leaves an excellent taste in their mouths indeed.
Está riquísimo.